Hey everybody, my name is Natalie Baker. We are here live with the Amazon Goddess Experience. You guys are going to see different interviews, different people throughout the whole experience. I am Nat the Creator underscore Nat the Creator, and my business page is Be Unapologetically You. Join us, and this is the Amazon Goddess Experience.
Told them I was chosen, niggas ain't believing me. Now I'm on these stages, go to they met, they can't eat with me. Niggas left me in that dark, they just tried to break my heart. Family cross, but I ain't mad, cause now I'm farther than where I started. Came a long way from that kid up on the seal. One for fashion, one Lexington Avenue is where I live. Visions in my hair, replaying everything that I done did. All the lives that I done lived, and I still ain't lived enough. I done touched a lot of money, and I ain't got shit to show it for. So I'm switching up, I done fell back from all the lies, I can't take no more.
You look perfect.
All right, guys. So we are back with the Amazon Goddess Experience, and we are here with Joshua Jones.
What up?
All right. So my first question for you today is, who is Joshua Jones?
Joshua Jones. So first off, I just moved here. Well, won't say just. It's been a year now, but I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I am a model. I'm a videographer. I am a TikTok content creator. So I do a lot of different things, and I'm just, here just trying to create more opportunities for myself and grow my brand.
Okay. So how long have you been in the modeling game?
So I have been modeling, I would say, seriously and professionally since 2018.
Okay.
It was right after I graduated college. It was something I always did just for fun in college, just, being on the model team, doing fashion shows here and there. And honestly, it was just like a right place, right time type of situation. I went to a fashion show audition, and I wasn't going to audition at all. I just went for moral support for my homegirl. And because I wasn't even living in Chicago at the time, I had a job. I was working about 2 hours outside of that. And I went, and they was like, we need more guys to walk. And I was like, I'm thinking about how I can make that commute. So I'm like, okay, let me just go ahead and audition. That's where I met Aaliyah.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just been a lot of different opportunities. New York Fashion Week, I got to do just 3 months later. That was my first time doing it. So it's something I really enjoy doing.
So do you prefer just to model, or do you prefer runway as well, or do you like both?
So I do love both, but if I say like where my passion is, it's always been runway. That's something that I've been doing since I was in high school. Again, it was always just for fun, but that's where like my adrenaline comes from. That's where I just really found like the most passion with doing my modeling, to be honest.
And what is it about runway specifically that just pulls you in?
For me, it's just, I don't know. I'm typically like a more introverted type of person. I don't like a lot of lights and just attention on me. And so it's something about the runway that you just own that moment. You know what I mean? The lights on you, everybody just screaming and cheering for you. And so I think it was kind of honestly, like a big confidence booster to begin with. And then from there, it was just something that I just kind of owned. I knew it was something I was good at. I wanted to continue to grow at it, of course, but it's just something that just kind of came naturally, and I had fun doing it.
And I know you said you were from Chicago. So what are some of the differences from the Chicago scene versus the Atlanta scene?
Whew, okay, so some of the differences, there's quite a few differences, but then there's not at the same time. So I will say one of the main differences that I've noticed is really just overall kind of the production of it itself. I think, in Chicago, at least with my experience, I've done a lot of shows that have, really big production, in terms of the rehearsals. It's very kind of, to the point of what it is you want to do, as well as here. I think, they do have, the rehearsals and such, but it's not as much focus on building, that model and kind of building, up to our fullest potential. And so that's one of the biggest differences. Also, I would say on the model side, it's a lot of the drive. It's a lot of the work ethic. I feel like here, it's a lot of kind of everything's here, right? It's easy access. There's so much of modeling and actors, and so you see all of that, and so everybody wants to do that.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, you have to also have that drive, and you have to be professional in this field as well. And that's something that maybe it's because of the training that I had back in Chicago, but that's something I noticed as well. But as far as like everything else, designers and just how many shows, I will say it's probably more opportunities for more shows out here.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So those are just like little differences that I find between Chicago and Atlanta. I think the market here is better, but back in Chicago, it's a lot more development.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
And I know you mentioned that there are a lot of people in Atlanta out here trying to do the same thing. So when you're going to these casting calls and these fashion shows, how do you specifically stand out?
So for one, I know I'm my own person. At the end of the day, I know I have my own walk, I have my own style, I have, just in general. And I would say that for everybody. I hope everyone truly owns that. But for me, that's what I walk in with, that mentality, thinking, not ever thinking I'm better than anyone,
Mm-hmm.
but that I know that I'm me. I have my own walk, I have my own style. And so that's one thing. But then also, again, just the background, the training that I have had, I know that that's put me at a place where I know I can stand out,
Mm-hmm.
especially among, people who can typically look alike,
Mm-hmm.
light skin, tattoos, things like that. So it's like, what can I do to put myself and stand out from others? So those are the things. Just I know I have the training for it, and I know that I put in the work for it.
Okay, so you keep talking about training. So put yourself in the mentality of the trainer. How are
Okay.
you going to train someone to get to the mentality and the level that you are at when you're stepping in these shows and stuff like that?
So I think for one, identify, what type of model it is that you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like you asked me, do I like runway more? Do I like print? And I think that's important for you to know first off.
Mm-hmm.
And just what lane you want to do that modeling as well. Do you want to be more commercial? Do you want to be more editorial? So I think identifying that for the model for themselves, and then identifying what their strengths and weaknesses are.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, yeah, you might have a good walk, but at the end of the day, again, everybody can grow unless you're
Mm-hmm.
like Naomi Campbell out
Okay.
here, like you
Yeah.
still can, grow to some extent. And so identifying those weaknesses, whether it's maybe if it's too much bounce in your walk, if it's your arm swing movement,
Mm-hmm.
is and letting them identify that for themselves. I think
Mm-hmm.
those are the things that will help in terms of really growing them, because everybody's going to come in either saying, I know what I'm doing, I don't need the help,
Mm-hmm.
or I really want the help. But then it's identifying, okay, where areas do I need to grow in?
Mm-hmm.
So
So I know the fashion industry itself is a very hard place. So how do you balance the mental health between your personal life and just being in the industry?
oh, great question. As far as the mental health aspect, because there's a lot just everybody goes through in their personal life in general. So I think it's important to have that balance of personal life and things you have going on, have going on,
Mm-hmm.
and then being in the industry, because it's a tough industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's an industry where you're going to hear a lot of no's. You're going to have, comparisons. You're going to have a lot of different things that might try to get to your self esteem and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So I think taking the time out in your personal life to make sure you're doing things to still make you happy while modeling, all that might be what makes you happy, doing those things that still make sure you're focusing on the happiness inside and your
Mm-hmm.
mental therapy, different things like that. So I know for me, I have a great support system. I
Mm-hmm.
have people that I hang out with all the time, and they're also in the industry, but we're able to do things together away from that as well. That kind of just pulls us apart from all the craziness that is the industry.
Right. So this definitely is the Amazon Goddess
It
experience.
is. It
So
is. Ag.
when did you officially meet the Amazon Goddess herself, and how would you describe that moment when you met her?
So I met the Amazon Goddess back in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So the fashion show audition that I was telling you about before, that is where I met her. And honestly, again, I wasn't going to walk. I just wound up going. And again, my background and my experience has always been, college. I never had like any professional training up to this point. I must have walked down the runway doing something. I had my walk was good, but I got down to the runway and I did like one of these or something, like,
Not the
which now I
Birdman.
know is a no.
Yeah.
But in college and everything, you just having fun. You just they don't really teach you all of that. It's all about just putting on the show.
Yeah.
She must have pulled me. She's like, no, you never do that again. And then I saw her walk, and from there I'm just like, who is
That.
this girl?
Mm-hmm.
Like, her walk is amazing. Her personality is just so vibrant. And I'm really like a big energy person. I just really feel it. I know when I could typically know if I'm gonna really mess with someone or not, just from,
Mm-hmm.
looking at them. And from there I was just like, I'm going to make her my friend.
Yeah.
And so I wound up of course doing the audition. I wound up getting casted. And so she was over the models as well, her and another guy named Anthony
Mm-hmm.
at the time. And from there, I just constantly continue to watch them. I would ask them questions, and that's where our relationship started to grow.
Okay. So I know you are walking in her fashion show January the 6th. So how would you describe the production so far versus all of the productions you have worked with in Atlanta?
So doing a lot of shows with Aaliyah, and so I also want to add the fact that this is my model mom.
Okay.
Like, again, she was so just cold at what she was doing, and I knew that she had a lot that she could teach me.
Mhm.
And I was someone who was a sponge. Again, I came in knowing like, okay, I enjoy this. I don't have a lot of experience, but I know I want to grow in this. And again, I was already at a place where I was good, and then from there, she just continued to groom me, and I was like, "Yep, you're my model mom. I love it." And so we've done a lot of same shows together, working with Blake Martin Productions, for
Mhm.
example, and so that's going back to like the training and things that I was talking about before, and so we know like the true production of a show. We've seen that, we've seen it firsthand,
Mhm.
and so being here in Atlanta, that's what I was talking about before, is just some of those differences. I'm seeing a lot of the behind the scenes and the work ethic that's going into putting on a full show with your designers and your different just artists and different things that's going on in the show as well. And so knowing and being by her side, seeing throughout, I know it's a lot of work.
Mhm.
It's not easy at all. There's a lot of blood, sweat, tears,
Yeah.
everything that goes into it. But I know that overall it's going to be an amazing show, and I know that it's a lot of work
Yeah.
going into it.
What do you look forward to the most with this production?
A couple of things, honestly. The designers,
Mhm.
for a couple of designers that I've never worked with before, that I'm excited to get the chance to work with, and then a few designers that's coming from Chicago as well that I get to work with that I started out, doing when I was modeling seriously, and a couple of models as well, models that I started with in Chicago. Maybe throughout the years we went separate ways. So this is like a show where it's a lot of people that Aaliyah knows, and so we're bringing in a lot of people that are great models. They're continuing to do great things. Some newer models, people who maybe haven't had that experience yet, and so it's gonna be a full out, just amazing show. I'm really excited.
It definitely is. So, okay, we are still on Aaliyah for real.
Okay.
All right, so give me 3 words that you would describe her today. Just 3 words off the bat.
Oh gosh. Okay. And I mean it in no way, but goofy, goofy, um, genuine, and I'll say very personable.
Yeah, she definitely is. She
Very
definitely
personable.
is.
Yes.
So I know a lot of people want to become a part of the Amazon Goddess experience. So what advice would you give to people who are trying to, come and join this experience?
Honestly, I would say again, know what it is that you want
Mm-hmm.
as a model, because again, she's someone who, brand development. She's someone who can really help you with what it is that you want to do while also growing her business as
Mm-hmm.
well. And so I think if you're someone who, you don't have to, and when I say like know what it is that you want, you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
say like this is the exact career, but have that idea, and then from there she can really, you know, help brainstorm with you, help
Mm-hmm.
influence that, and then, y'all grow together. And so I think if you have that, if you have the drive, that's what it is. That's really important too, is having that drive, because Aaliyah don't like lazy people. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you are just coming up with excuses, just all of that, like, it's just not gonna fly. And
Right.
she's gonna know that you're not serious, and it's not gonna be no work relationship from there. So if you have the drive also to match that, then I think those are two things that she can really work with.
So you always hear people talk about you have to have this drive, you have to have this drive, but nobody talks about when the drive burns out. So when you burn out, how do you conquer that in your life?
For me, I'm naturally an introverted just person. So for
Mhm.
me, my kind of zen moment has always just been chilling. Like,
Mhm.
I just really kind of, I won't say ice everybody out. I just really kind of have those moments of just, and then even it could be with friends. I just have to have a moment of just relaxation, not doing too much. We don't have to go outside. Um, and then at that point, maybe structuring what it is that I'm doing and my plans to get there. kind of just refocusing in another way. And so those are some of the things that I do when it comes to just getting burnt out, because it's so easy to get burnt out
Mhm.
again, when you hear rejection. And then again, it's a lot of work that goes into doing shows. I mean, it's not something that you just put together in a month. It takes
Mhm.
months of preparation. And so just finding moments in that time to again have that self time, whether whatever it is for you, whether it's going out with friends or going out, for drinks or whatever. For me, it's just time at home with my cats, watching TV, like on chill mode. That's
Yeah.
that's my, and then just refocusing, what it is that I want to do.
So we all know that the Amazon goddess promotes being authentic. So
Hmm.
how do you be authentic every day of your life? I know you said that you just wake up every day and know that you just that person. But we all have to deal with like imposter syndrome and those
Yes.
moments of where we actually do wake up and we don't feel like we're good enough. So
Hmm.
how do you tackle that like imposter syndrome?
I
And
think that's such a great question, because I know that's also something that I have. So when I talk about kind of waking up or just knowing, like what I have, that's something that I have to really kind of talk and build myself too. Like
Mhm.
I have to have, those conversations in the mirror and just those reaffirmations with myself to remind myself who I am. And that also goes back to my mental. And so, with being authentic, it's important to just really remember like who you are. It's so easy to compare yourself to others in this field and then get discouraged. Maybe I'm not where I want to be, or I see this other person doing something. Why can I have that? It's so easy to find yourself in those moments. But I think, again, one, remembering when it comes to this industry, again, why it is that you're doing this in the first place. Like, is
Mhm.
this something that makes you happy? Is it your true passion? Is it because you just want to be famous?
Mhm.
And I think having those conversations with yourself when it comes to this industry, because being authentic in just your life, that's, a
Right.
whole conversation. But those are the important conversations to have with yourself, because you're going to get burnt out. You're going to
Mhm.
have those moments of, again, imposter syndrome, comparing yourself, putting yourself down. But you have to remember who you are outside of this. Like
Mhm.
at the end of the day, this is the industry where it's always judged about your looks, but you have to realize that looks aren't everything at the end of the day as well.
Right.
Who you are as a person is what matters. And those are the, again, when I go back to like the affirmations, the things I just remind myself, so that you don't get caught up and
Mhm.
overwhelmed in just the industry and all the judgment that is
Mhm.
in the industry, because you can really just kind of let those comments and things really, maybe you too big, or your skin is this, and
Mhm.
you might start to really weigh on those words, and then it brings you down. So just remembering who you are and having those moments again to connect with yourself and love yourself, because imposter syndrome, all of that, is real.
It definitely
It's
is.
real.
So what I want you to do is think of yourself as 2018 Joshua, college
Okay.
days,
Big
2023
times.
Joshua Jones. What would you say to him?
Oh gosh. What I would say to 2018 Joshua is, one, know that you got this. Know that you got this. I think at that time I was at a place of like true like disbelief. Like I was just like, a lot was happening so fast for me that I was just like, oh, this isn't meant for me. Kind of that imposter
Mhm.
syndrome type of thing that I was talking about. Literally, that's always been kind of a mental thing for me. And so that's one thing I would say, is that no, you have the it factor, you
Yeah.
have the drive, you have all of this, because constantly I think my biggest obstacle has always been myself.
Mhm.
Literally, I've always had the support system. I've always had the people, Aaliyah and many others that I can name, pouring into me. But it was always myself in terms of just, I guess, my confidence to an
Mhm.
extent. So, but then I look years later, I think of everything that I've done in these years. I'm just like, wow, like why was I even down to myself? You know
Right.
what I mean? Um, so those are a couple things that I would tell myself. Also, I would tell myself, keep making those sacrifices and making the drives, because I say this because while during all of this time, all my shows, everything was in Chicago. I was living in Champaign, Illinois at the time, which is about 2 hours outside Chicago.
Mhm.
I then took another job living about 5 hours out of Chicago. And, Aaliyah, other people can tell you, I made those drives back, and I was determined to really do it. And so that's one thing I would tell myself is keep going, because going back to getting burnt out, like those are things that will weigh on me, the drive and the travel and everything that is in this industry is going to take all of that. And so it was easy to get burnt out. But if I just kind of remind myself to, just keep going and, take those times for yourself, then I kind of look back and it's just like, wow, it's like, it's still kind of hard to believe
Surreal.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so this is my last question.
okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so this is going to be a message to the Miss Amazon Goddess herself. If you could tell her anything today, what would you say?
So I would tell the Amazon Goddess herself, I would tell her that I love you so much. I love you for just who you are, just being an amazing person. I love your drive, your work ethic, is everything is just so inspiring. And I would just say you got this. Like, I see it all for you. I see the vision. I know, like, literally when all of this was just a plan being talked about and you were literally figuring out how I'm doing this, how I'm gonna do this, making this move to Atlanta. Like, I was there for all of the conversations. So I would just say, like, even though obstacles might come up, things might not go, exactly how we want it to, nothing ever does. And that was really works for someone who really has that it factor, just being able to change and, on the fly and things like that. So I'm just proud of everything you're doing, honestly. And I know you're going to make it really far.
And
That's
she
what I would tell her.
definitely will. So thank you for thank you for coming to the behind the scenes of the Amazon
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Goddess, Joshua Jones. Let them know your social media.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at @the_real_Joshua Jones. I'm on TikTok at Jess_Joshin. That's JUSS_JOSHINN. And yeah.
All right, we are out.
All righty.